Hi, I'm Ryan P. Bilon, taking up Bachelor's of Secondary Education, major in English. This video presentation is a critical story review of one of Jose Garcia Villa's most notable work, Footnote to Youth. Youth, love, life. They are wonders each and every one of us experience in our daily lives. But it's different for everyone. For some, they get to experience the thrill and joy of youth, but fails to fall in love. Others, they love, but miss other opportunities in life. For some, life started a lot earlier than the rest. They had to work and struggle for them to survive and for them to be able to live. It's different for everyone, but we're all trying our best, right? This is a story of youth, how those days are fleeting and filled with dejection, a story of life, carried out with sheer hope and love, putting one's own youth on the line for a chance of a better life. This story is about Todong, a 17-year-old boy, typically a boy because he belongs to the minority age group. 17 is still a young age for everyone. One day, he thought to himself that he should tell his father about his girlfriend thing, that he should marry his girlfriend. At first, he was skeptical and hesitant because his father is a silent, hard-working farmer. He is wary whether he would seriously consider it or not. But Dodong was determined and certain that he would tell his father about it. If you were Dodong, would you consider yourself at the right age for marriage? Personally, if I were Dodong, I don't think it's anywhere near the right age, the right time for that kind of decision. Well, Dodong also thought to himself. He also thought about his age, being 17. He pondered about how he was already growing into a man. He told himself that he is no longer a young boy because he was now growing into a man. Imagine at the age of 17, so of course you will be imagining yourself as becoming a man. However, that was the whole point. You were supposed to be, Dodong was supposed to be growing into a man, not yet a man himself. So I guess that's where everything, that's the whole turning point of the story. Because he thought that at the age of 17, he is already a man. When he arrived at his house, he didn't say it right off the bat. He waited for the right chance to tell to his father. Then, the moment has come and told his father he wanted to marry Teng. Dodong's father was not overly joyed about the news, about Dodong's sudden decision. In the story, it was clearly told that Dodong's father still agreed to him, but it was also described as if Dodong's father was hesitant and didn't actually strongly agree to Dodong. I mean, what kind of father would be so happy about his son's marriage when he is still 17 years old? I mean, if I were Dodong's father, I wouldn't be that so happy at all. I wouldn't be that calm and I won't even say yes to this request because 17 is too much. I mean, it's not too much, like it's too less for that kind of decision to make, for that kind of responsibility. But in the story, in the end, Dodong's father still agreed to Dodong's request and then later on, they get married. Later then, they got married and lived together. When Teng gave birth to Blas, their first child, Dodong was uncertain with his feelings as a father. The story described that he was embarrassed with his parents and wanted to run away. Why do you think he wanted to run away? What do you think he means by that? Run away from what? From his responsibilities? From the life he chose? Run away from exactly what? That phrase, that part of the story was left open-ended. It was as if open for interpretation because it didn't exactly stated what Dodong was trying to run away from. He could have thought of running away from his responsibilities, running away from his wife, running away from the embarrassment from his family, or run away from everything he decided to do. So I guess it was left for the readers to comprehend what kind of reason he wanted to run away from. Blas was not Dodong's only child. More children came to them. Tang looks like shapeless and thin after all the responsibilities of a mother. She was worn out due to heavy workload, catering their children and doing household chores. She cried sometimes, wishing she had not married at all. I guess she regretted marrying at such early age. But she did not tell Dodong about this. She kept it to herself. I guess she's worried that maybe Dodong will leave her once he knew what she felt. Sometimes she also thinks that what if she marries Lucio, who is until now childless? What would her life be? What do you think would Tang's life be if only she married Lucio, a much older man than Dodong? What do you think Tang's life would be like if you were to picture Tang's life? What would it be? And what kind of life awaits Dodong if she wouldn't have married Tang? I guess it's left for the readers to imagine that because unfortunately, Tang did not love Lucio as much as she loved Dodong. That's why she decided to marry Dodong rather than Lucio. Their son Blas, who was now 18 years old, also wants to marry Tona. Like what Dodong did when he was 17 was the one that Blas also did. But this time around, Dodong was overly hesitant about allowing Blas with his decision. He didn't actually want to let Blas marry, but he did. Just like his father, he agreed. Dodong's life, from his youth to finding love, marrying, and having the life he has now, Dodong felt sad and sorry for Blas because he had he will have to walk the same path he had. He will Blas will have to experience what he went through, feel the emotions he did, live the life he had all this time. Blas have to go all through that because Dodong agreed to Blas. Dodong allowed Blas to marry at the age of 18. Dodong couldn't refuse his son. Similarly to how his father didn't say no to him when he was 17 years old. Just as what Dodong said, youth must triumph, love must triumph, because life awaits. That is true in all aspects of life. I believe in that. However, I also solemnly believe that there is a right time to enjoy youth. There is a right time to fall in love. And there is a right time to live life. It's not supposed to be linear in any way. Life doesn't have to be that direct or simple because it's not. Sometimes people get to experience life first before anything else. They had to work, they had to strive for their own good or for the sake of their family. Of course, being poor is a factor into that. Because of that, they like shrug the enjoyment of the youthful days and falling in love just so they can earn as much as money they can and survive. So, living life, it's not linear, it's not that simple, it's overly complicated, and it's not the same for everybody. Plot. Footnote to Youth depicts a young man, a 17-year-old boy named Dodong, and his struggles to family life, marriage, adulthood, and the responsibilities that goes on with it. It also explores the themes such as the contrast between the blissful days of youth and the regrets and sorrowful wisdom of adulthood. Moreover, it portrays it portrays or it tells the concept of life, how it is symbolized as a complete circle that goes on over and over again, just as how history itself repeats itself, from Dodong's father to Dodong and then to his son Blas. Characters. Dodong. He was first introduced as a 17-year-old boy who wanted to get married at the age of 17, and then later on faced faced by the same situation he was when he asked his father's blessing through his son. The second character is Dodong's father. Dodong's father is a silent hardworking farmer that Dodong asked for his blessing when he wanted to marry his girlfriend, Teng. Teng. Teng was Teng was Dodong's girlfriend that later on became his wife. Blas. Blas was Dodong and Teng's firstborn child, and later on asked Dodong about his blessing for marrying Tona. Tona. Tona is Blas's wife. Lucio. Lucio is one of Teng's suitor before he married Dodong. Setting. The setting was in a farm somewhere in the province that happened during the planting season. Conflict. The central conflict revolves around the conflict between the characters and themselves. It's like it's more like about man versus himself, because that's what the characters had been going through all throughout the story. First, Dodong and his desire to marry at an early age, at the age of 17. Then, his father's submissiveness. Also, Teng's regret about marrying Dodong. Later on, Blas following his father's footsteps, and lastly, Dodong's inner struggles. Climax. The climax of the story was when Teng was about to give birth to their firstborn child, Blas. Dodong felt Dodong was somehow torn between feeling happy about being a father and feeling embarrassed because of his familial duties they will have to face after their child is born. So that's that's where everything felt so it was oozing with this kind of pressure. He was in a pressure that was undeniably came from both the side from his parents, and an invisible pressure coming from his responsibilities as a father. Denouement. Dodon did not oppose Blas's decision in wanting to marry Tona. He did not he did not rejected or he did not like shrug off Blas's request in marrying Tona. Although deep inside Dodong wanted Blas to change his mind. He wanted Blas to hesitate for once because he knew what he will be going through after his decision, after their marriage. So he was wholeheartedly trying to unintentionally persuade Blas to to change his mind. But in the end, Blas didn't, and he insisted in marrying Tona, which later on Dodong agreed to, and then felt sad and sorry about him because what because the kind of life that awaits him, that awaits Blas, Dodong knew what that kind of life is. 17 is not the right age for marriage, or any kind of number that belongs to the minority age group. As long as you are in your teenage years, you're still developing. You are in your most vulnerable and growing stage of life. You're in the stage of discovery and finding out your value and true purpose in life. Marriage is not at all an option because it bears too much risk. It bears too much responsibility for a 17-year-old and hold too much pressure as a husband or a wife. Not to mention, it may hold you back from wanting to live more of your youth. It's not an age for making that kind of huge decisions in life. Submissiveness is not always good. His father showed how submissive he is and it did not ended well. So did Dodong. Even knowing the consequences, Dodong and his father allowed their sons to grow to go through it, which is why it led to some dramatic happenings in their lives. It's not that bad to say no sometimes. I mean, there are certain things in life that you have to say no so that we or you can avoid horrible and long time consequences that may affect your life one way or another. For once, Dodong could have prevented Blas from going through the same life he did if he only said no. He could have ended the cycle which first began from his father, passed down to him and then to Blas. If only he persuaded Blas enough, but unfortunately, he couldn't. He was not able to do so. If he only persuaded Blas, then they would have ended the so-called cycle, which is marrying at such an early age, starting from his father to Dodo and then to Blas. The footnote to youth is such a good story that should be taught to kids, especially in high school. It has the message that everyone should know about, everyone should hear. A message of extreme consequences for uncertain decisions in life, which one way can either hurt you or help you grow. But in Dodong's point of view, in Dodong's perspective, in his story, it hurt him as well as his family. It's a good tale to tell kids nowadays, actually, to, not let kids be carried away but by their emotions and feelings. Not let them be carried away by their impulsiveness and sudden decision makings that may affect their whole life, their whole career, their whole future as a whole. So they should this story should be taught to them so that it could serve as a lesson for them to carry on with their lives. Themes: taking responsibilities. You must take full responsibility of the decisions you made. There is no turning back, especially if it's something like marriage or bearing a child and so on. For marriage, this is a sacramental vow and it is bounded by law. So there is no chance for you or for someone to actually escape from it because divorce is not legal in the Philippines as well as many people will be witnessing such dramatic changes in your life. And people likes to gossip and talk about something when they have the time. And for children naman, there is this risk that can affect a child. It can affect them mentally and emotionally, and as well as holistically. So, if you chose that option, so it's better to stick with it and uphold your responsibilities. Learn to say no. It's not bad to say no sometimes. More importantly, it's human ability and understanding to say no to things that has the capacity to break things, hurt them, and ruin them. If Dodong's father said no to Dodong wanting to marry Teng, he could have prevented giving him that kind of life. Dodong could have prevented giving that kind of life to Teng and to their children. Enjoy your youth. Youthful days are temporary and fleeting. We are not young forever. Learn to cherish those moments because those moments are one of the best times you'll ever have in your life. Enjoy it, have fun, make mistakes, learn more, discover, and live your life to the fullest. This is like a reminder, sort of something you should ponder about because you will carry this. Those youthful days you will carry it until your last breath. So might as well live the best of it. There is a right time and place for everything. The right moment always tells you that it's the right time. Marriage can wait when everything is settled down. Children can wait if both of you are stable and ready. A brand new house can wait if you earn enough money to buy it. Everything can wait as long as you're ready for it. Then you can get it. Having regrets in life is unavoidable. What's important is what you do next. Having regrets, mistakes, and having to fail are common grounds for humanity. It's what makes us humans. It's okay and it's unavoidable. What matters is what you do next. If you regret something, go and turn that sorrow into great fulfillment. If you've committed a mistake, learn from it and amend things that went wrong. If you failed, stand up and strive harder the next time around. It's a stepping stone for you to reach a greater success. One way or another, whatever happens, it doesn't end there. So, keep going. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you learned something from this video presentation. Again, this is Ryan P. Bilon, taking a Bachelor's of Secondary Education, major in English. Signing off.